The illusion of safety in ultra-processed foods is starting to unravel, and a new study from French researchers delivers a powerful warning. It's not just individual food additives that should concern us, but the way these additives interact when consumed together. This research, involving over 100,000 participants from the Nutrinet Santé cohort, suggests that certain combinations of commonly used food additives, quietly embedded in our everyday diets, may be fueling the growing epidemic of type 2 diabetes. The findings, published in PLOS Medicine, are unsettling. Of 5 primary additive mixtures identified in the study, 2 were significantly associated with an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. These combinations aren't obscure or rare. They include emulsifiers like carrageenans and modified starches found in sauces and desserts, as well as sweeteners, acidifiers, and coloring agents common in artificially sweetened drinks. It's a sobering reminder that the foods many assume to be safe, those bearing familiar labels and reassuring claims, may harbor health risks that have gone largely undetected. Most consumers have no idea that a simple lunch of flavored yogurt, soda, and packaged snacks may expose them to dozens of industrial additives. Worse still, until recently, safety assessments only considered the effects of these additives in isolation. This is a flawed approach in a world where ultra-processed foods are the norm and rarely contain just one additive. The reality is that many of these chemicals are consumed together, day after day, in combinations never tested for long-term health outcomes. The study's design makes the results particularly compelling. With dietary data drawn from over 100,000 people and an average follow-up of 7.7 years, this is no small sample speculative report. The analysis controlled for numerous lifestyle and demographic factors: calorie intake, fiber, saturated fats, socioeconomic background, meaning that the increased risk of diabetes tied to these additive mixtures cannot be easily dismissed. The sheer scale and rigor of the study should give pause to anyone who regularly consumes processed foods, which, in modern diets, is virtually everyone. The danger is not just theoretical. Additives like acesulfame K, sucralose, phosphoric acid, and carrageenans are found in everything from sugar-free sodas to low-fat dressings and flavored milks. The assumption has long been that these substances are benign when consumed within regulatory limits. But what this study hints at is a hidden synergy, what scientists refer to as a cocktail effect, in which additives interact in unpredictable ways. Some might amplify each other's harmful effects, triggering inflammation, metabolic disruption, or gut microbiota imbalances that pave the way to diabetes and other chronic illnesses. And while researchers are careful to state that this observational study doesn't prove causation, it's a red flag that aligns with a growing body of laboratory research. In vitro studies have already shown that mixtures of common additives can damage human cells more significantly than individual substances alone. The precautionary principle would suggest we err on the side of safety, but food policy and regulation remain far behind the science. Perhaps most troubling is how little transparency consumers actually have. Ingredient labels may list these substances, but few people understand what they are, let alone how they might interact. The burden of navigating this chemical maze is unfairly placed on the individual, while regulatory bodies fail to assess additive safety in the context of real-world consumption. The stakes are high. Type 2 diabetes is a preventable disease, yet its global incidence continues to rise, with diet a central contributing factor. If even a fraction of this disease burden is linked to additive mixtures, something we can control, then failure to act is not just negligent, it's dangerous. This study doesn't just point to a health risk, it exposes a regulatory blind spot and a public health failure. There's also an equity issue at play. Ultra-processed foods are often cheaper and more accessible, making them a staple in lower-income households. If these products disproportionately increase the risk of chronic disease, then the additives in them aren't just a health risk, they're deepening health inequalities. Wealthier populations may have the luxury of choosing organic or minimally processed foods, but for many others, exposure to these additive cocktails is nearly unavoidable. In the end, this study isn't just about food science. It's a warning to anyone who assumes the modern food system is built to protect them. It isn't. And until additive mixtures are tested and regulated with the same rigor applied to pharmaceuticals or industrial chemicals, we are all participating in an uncontrolled experiment, one bite at a time.